Hey guys, Pastor Kevin, Pastor Bob here, Bible in a Year, episode 149. 149, that is amazing. We're looking at Job 12 through 16 today. We just keep getting deeper and deeper into this, back and forth between Job and these three friends of his. We're going to ask you guys to subscribe, mark the notifications bell, please comment. Really, this is a great one to comment on, the book of Job. You know, some of it may lose you, but I'm telling you, like other books may lose you, but I think all of us in one form or another can relate to the book of Job. And honestly, Bob, hold on with your thoughts. I think this is a book a lot of people. Yeah. Let's not avoid it. Let's get into it. All right, episode 149. I'm excited for tomorrow to say episode 150. I'm really excited about that. This is an undertaking, man, to go through all of these. But we're looking at Job 12 through 16. I'd said I had 10 points on our first episode and 10 points on our second episode. I get 10 points on our third episode as well. Guys, I just off camera before this, I played two songs, which I said for me, and these aren't Christian songs. These are secular songs. Two songs for me that summarize the book of Job. What's the one from Dreamgirls? What's the title? It's
You're Gonna Love Me.
You're Gonna Love Me. I just think Job refuses to let God go. You know, it's all this entire book for me, Bob, is like Jacob holding on to God. I will not let you go until you bless me.
Yeah.
Has no idea the tiger that he has by the tail, but I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to let you go. You're going to love me. It's in the Dreamgirls original motion picture soundtrack. The other one, what was the guy's real name that wrote that song? What was his name? Gilbert O'Sullivan. Alone Again. I love the version by Diana Krall and Michael Bublé. If there is a song that epitomizes Job's grief and what he's feeling on the inside, it's Alone Again, naturally. And again, it's written by Gilbert O'Sullivan, I believe. But the song that I like to listen to is by Diana Krall and Michael Bublé. It's a duet. But a couple of years ago when I taught that Job study, I played both of those songs just because I thought it was so powerful. Hey, let's go ahead and do this, Bob. Job 12, right out of the chute. Job's sarcasm is palpable. Chapters 12 through 14 is Job's response to Zophar, okay? Job's response to Zophar. Zophar is not nice to Job. And when we get into chapters 12 through 14, it's Job's response. Verses 1 through 3, though, of chapter 12, then Job replied, "Doubtless you're the only people who matter, and wisdom will die with you. But I have a mind, as well as you. I am not inferior to you, who does not know all these things." So, from your experience with grief, I don't even know how to ask the question. I'm going to start crying. What could I possibly tell you and Donna about your experience? And if I handled that improperly.
No,
what I'm saying is, if I handled that improperly, you would be well justified in offering me Job 12, 1 through 3.
Oh, I see what you're saying there. One is kind of hard if you haven't experienced it or lived it yourself. It's kind of hard for you to know how to approach these things. That's part of the difficulty of grief. We often want to give advice, quick fixes, as opposed to just being present and being there. You know, that the story for us, you know, the multiple losses at one time, My father-in-law died that day. Within 2 or 3 hours, the house caught on fire and was destroyed, and our son was severely burned and died a few days later from his injuries, and that was our only child. And so to experience those multiple losses, just one on top of the other, that quick, and then to have someone like your friend saying, well, you caused all that. You did that. That's just devastating. So I can resonate with Job pretty well of not only what he's experiencing, but what's happened. I've had similar things said, at the funeral service. People would come up to my wife and say, I'm so sorry for your loss. And then turn around and turn to me and say, well, you need to be strong for your family now. It's like, I didn't lose anything. There was no sympathy, no empathy, no nothing there. It's like, you don't count. and so I got to feel some of those same things with Job. And so, yeah, I think he handled the response very well in how he said that. He was to the point, but, it's tough when you have that.
Let me ask you this question. So a few years ago, this has been a long time ago, actually. It's been more than 2 decades. I had a friend who was in her early 20s who passed away. She was single mom, little baby girl, and we were all just devastated. This girl, while not my sister, might as well have been, because her brother and sisters and my sisters, we all grew up together. There was rarely a week of our life where we were not together. We were that close. And I remember the younger sister, okay? And I don't know if I'm at liberty to say their names, but the youngest sister, there was a sister, a brother, a sister, and a sister. Sister, right after brother, passed away. Youngest sister stood up at the funeral, and I remember her saying, thank you all for trying. It still gets me to this day. Thank you all for trying. I know you didn't know what to say, but thank you for being here and just trying to say something. Mm-hmm. It's going to seem like I'm taking a hard turn here, and I'm not. People say a lot of things at the casket.
Yeah.
Tell me why I know how you feel is not the best thing to say.
First of all, just from the counseling perspective, we can't possibly know how someone feels unless they tell us. Yeah. We don't know. We like to put our own feelings there, or how we think we would feel if we were in that situation. If we've experienced a similar situation, we project our feelings and so say, I know how you feel. But we can't know how someone feels. And so to begin to even put that out there is saying that it's all the same. We're all equal. All the losses are equal, and you're not special or unique. And when we actually just need to give love. One of the greatest things, I think, instead of trying to say something like that, is just give a hug. Just reach out, or a touch on the shoulder or the hand, or just some gesture of understanding, even though you don't know. We can have that empathy, but we should never say those kind of platitudes.
Yeah, and I know people are trying. It's just, I think it was the first episode of this Job series. I think it's just your presence.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
John Hardman, who used to be the head of hospital chaplaincy at Ruby, he's retired now and lives in the Midwest. He and his wife Sharon used to come to Kingdom when they lived here in town. And I just remember John saying once, listen, your shoes are your shoes, and my shoes are my shoes. I'll never live in your shoes, and you'll never live in mine, even if they're similar shoes. Even if they're the exact same brand, they're still 2 different pair of shoes. Mm-hmm. So how about this? You wear your shoes. I'll wear my shoes. And let's stand in our shoes together.
And I think we have to know and understand that grief is unique to the individual.
Yeah.
And that's even if you share the same loss. Okay. So, when we have my wife and I together, we both lost a son, but it's completely different how each of us grieve.
Wow, that's powerful.
And so with you and your siblings and losing your mom,
Yeah.
you're different people. You're
Yeah.
going to grieve differently.
It was hard because, when we were trying to figure out what needs to be said, we didn't want to repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
Like Carrie didn't want to say what Keely was going to say. Keely didn't want to say what I was going to say. I didn't want to say what the girls were going to say, so on and so forth. Because that was the order. It was Carrie, Keely, and then me. We all three eulogized our mother. And it was just interesting how we did that. And each of us were able to give our own perspective without redundancy. You know what I mean? I'm sure there were things we repeated, but not to the point of redundancy. And we all, from our different frames of reference, were able to speak, about all of that. So anyways, we could talk about the patterns of grief forever. I want you to, guys, look at, again, and Bob and I alluded to this, I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before, but we alluded to this in a previous episode. Guys, take a look at Job 12:9. Which of all of these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? God didn't do any of this.
Yeah.
People go, well, yeah, he allowed it. I mean, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Didn't cause it.
He didn't cause it. And when I get asked these questions, there's a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration in terms of the equation. I'm going to give a couple things. If there's additional stuff, please feel free. Strength is made perfect in weakness. Sometimes, it's almost like the man born blind, which I don't even want to get into all of that. I mean, think about what God said to Moses. And we talked about this in the last episode. Who made man's mouth? Who made a person with blind eyes or seeing eyes? Who made a person deaf? Who made a person mute? Whoa, that is a big statement. But then take it over to the 9th chapter of John with the man born blind. I think that's right, John 9. I'm like 99.9% sure that's right. Where Jesus says he's blind because he's blind.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he is, because you're about to see the manifestation of God's glory. God sees these things from an eternal perspective. See, and I mean, look how close we're bordering on becoming Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar just with the statement that I just made. And you may be saying, who you talking about we? You and a mouse in your pocket?
No.
But you see what I'm saying? We're right up against it. I mean, this is as close as I think you can get, a person can get before falling off the edge into bad theology. You see what I'm saying? But the reality for me is strength is made perfect in weakness. And God is always, in every situations that God ordains and situations that God allows, whatever the situation is, God is going to manifest the greatest manifestation of glory so individuals can come to a saving relationship in him. And, so when Job says this, completely natural, completely understandable that he would say, which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? I get it. I understand why he says it. He's wrong. He is wrong. And God takes this situation that Satan is trying to, what you said episodes ago, he's trying to take as many people out with him.
Yep.
And God's trying to do the absolute antithesis to that, to bring as many people into the family of God. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's big right there, isn't it? How about this one big? Job 13:13-19. And as you guys are turning, let me say this again. I get it. You got to settle in on this. We got to give you space to settle in on what we're saying. Bob speaks openly about loss. you talk about my loss, my family's loss. You've settled in as you've settled in. It doesn't mean you're settled.
Right.
I've settled in where I've settled in. Doesn't mean I'm settled, but I know your faith and I know my faith, and we have faith in the Lord that
Absolutely.
whatever pain that we feel, we're not going to curse God and die either.
Absolutely.
And we're still going to, gosh, like, why am I at the edge of tears in all of this? But we're going to keep praising God. That's just who you are, and it's who I am, and we're never going to back off of that.
Part of my story that I've often shared is from when all of that was present happening, in the midst of it, I could feel God's presence. I knew He was there. I knew things could have been far worse had He not been there.
Yeah.
You know, while God didn't cause these things to happen, He made sure that things happened in a particular way. He allowed
He was
things
present
to happen.
within them.
He was always present there, absolutely. And things could have been far worse. You know, the whole family was in that house, gathered, because this was the day after Thanksgiving. We were all in that house for Thanksgiving. Hours before all this happened, we had just left. So now it went from having 20 people in that house to only 2.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Wow. Okay, guys, Job 13:13-19. And if we have peace, this is the peace. Keep silent and let me speak, Job says. Then let come to me what may. Why do I put myself in jeopardy and take my life in my hands? Here we go. Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. And he just keeps going. And I think that's what we're talking about. And as wrong as Job is here, is as right
Yeah.
as Job is here. Though he slay me, brother, he ain't slaying you. Yet I will hope in him. Yes, you will.
His perspective is a little skewed, but his truth is there. His
Oh,
faith
my
is there
gosh.
present.
It's just so big. I love this prayer, too, that Job prays. You know, 13:20 through 14:22 is a prayer, okay? I love it. Let me just read a little bit of it to you guys. Only grant me these 2 things, and then I'll not hide from you. Withdraw your hand far from me and stop frightening me with your terrors. You kind of getting that wrong, but that's no different than what Jesus said to Simon Peter and all the disciples. Satan has asked for all of you, that he may sift all of you as wheat, but I've prayed for you. And when you return, you strengthen your brothers. Like Job, the entire book of, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but the entire book of Job is that statement by Jesus to Simon Peter. You're going to get sifted. When you return, when the sifting is over and you've met face to face with me, strengthen your brothers. At the end of this, God tells Job, and he's still riddled with boils. He's still, nothing has been restored to Job. You pray for your friends. Excuse me? Like, excuse me? And he never complains. He just does it. I'm jumping way ahead. Withdraw your hand from me and stop frightening me with your terrors. Then summon me and I'll answer, or let me speak and you reply to me. How many wrongs and sins have I committed? Show me my offense and my sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? How many people have felt that, Bob?
Absolutely.
Where is God in all of this?
Yep. Why is he doing this to me? Why is he letting this happen even?
I hear Pastor Bob. He said he knew the presence of God the whole time. Well, I don't feel that way. How do you answer that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you answer that? I read years ago St. John of the Cross, this beautiful poem. I think it's like 9 stanzas. It's called The Dark Night of the Soul. The Dark Night of the Soul has little to do with a thorn in the flesh, like a feeling of pain. The dark night of the soul isn't necessarily doom and gloom. The dark night of the soul is a quiet that is palpable. Think about this. a darkness that can be felt. I mean, the presence of God so strong that the absence of God is what is discerned. Like, I'm standing in the tomb of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I told somebody this last week. I have never been in a place in my life that was so empty and so filled all at the exact same time. And the only thing that allowed me to know how filled it was my faith in the resurrected Christ, void of the presence of Christ. Some people are like, I don't even know what you're talking about right there. I have felt so alone, so distant from God countless times in my life, and I've learned to grow content with it because I know it's in those moments that God is closest to me.
He's there, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He is there.
You know, I know a lot of people go, oh, that's what the poem Footprints is all about. Mm. I mean, yeah, I get it, but this ain't the poem Footprints. This is a whole different kind of absence. You know, it's a whole different kind of absence. You know, well, you know, there was 2 footprints. Where were you then? Yeah, I get it. This is way different. And that's what Job's feeling.
And I kind of look at it the same way when we talk about darkness. You know, I look more to the 23rd Psalms, that valley of the shadow of death. That's not something to fear. Yeah, that's something to embrace. That's where God is. That's where He does His best work, is in the shadows, in that darkness, because He brings the light. He is the light, and that darkness can't overcome it. So, you know, there's nothing to fear in those shadows because God is there.
Yeah, that is hard, isn't it?
He will lighten it.
That is so hard. It's funny, we're sitting here and I'm supposed to be kind of leading this discussion and you're sending me places to think about. So guys, look, as we come up on the 25-minute mark here, do me a favor, turn to Job 16, 19 to 21. And again, we're skipping so much here. I mean, we're skipping so much. But this is one you got to know. Job 16, 19 to 21, Job says, even now my witness is in heaven. Whoa! My advocate is on high. My intercessor is my friend. As my eyes pour out tears to God, on behalf of a man, he pleads with God as one pleads for a friend. So be that in physical pain, you know, the grief of death, loss, or Selah, salvation. The brother or sister in Christ, the role is to come alongside what's being described and characterized here about our advocate before the Father. You know, even now my witness is in heaven. I got somebody to go to bat for me. My advocate is on high. Someone's going to be my shield, my exceedingly great reward. My intercessor, woo, come on. The one who prays for me is my friend. No longer do I call you servants, I call you friends. Yeah. For a servant doesn't know what a master is doing, but a friend. Whoo, my goodness. As my eyes pour out tears to God. On behalf of a man, he pleads with God as one pleads for a friend. My goodness. That's just, I mean, it's so powerful. All right, final thoughts, Bob, as we finish this episode up.
I think that just those words right there puts it in perspective for us that, one, God is always there, so He's in control. But also, it's, you know, as you point out, it's a place for us to be as well as for intercessors. We have to come alongside. We have to be a friend as well, and we have to pray and lift up and console and whatever it takes to be there to do, not try to solve the problem or fix it or give advice. Just come alongside. That's it.
Amen.
That's the key.
Amen. Guys, that's so good. All right. There we go. Episode done for today. Come back tomorrow. I think it's episode 150 tomorrow. Job 17 to 22. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Keep reading. And look, I know this isn't going to be easy, but just keep working through. God will bring peace to your life. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Amen.